Hello, folks. This is one more time speaking about the boys' love topic, though not so much this time. It's another topic that I wanted to talk about. It is this. I'm watching Moonlight Chicken. Let's see if it was the name. Yes, Moonlight Chicken. And it's something about I wanted to talk to you, which is a personal feeling, or more on an absence of a feeling, which is just alien to me, and it is a strange thing. I hope you don't hate me too much. I know that most people really dislike this when I tell them this. But I am almost entirely unable to know nostalgia. It's an alien feeling to me. I mean, I'm a historian. I study two things. I'm a social scientist and a historian. Not telling this to brag, just to know where I am. So I know much about history. And I know a lot about society. So just to know, I'm not a stranger to history. And that is in Moonlight Chicken. There is this guy. He has this old restaurant, this old style restaurant. Like, I don't know. It's a little bit. It's quite outdated even for the time of the filming. And then there is this market where people sell and buy in their stands. And everyone seems so happy doing their simple life, just getting by. And then there is this big corporation who wants to buy it all. And maybe this restaurant becomes a great parking lot for many cars in a modern high-tech city district. Gods know. But I can't sympathize with the main character owning the restaurant. I just can't. I don't know why. You see, I'm 54 now. I've lived a fast life, a much changing life. So sometimes it feels like I'm always 120. I tried so many things. For instance, I've had a good number of relationships with guys. Some years long, some not so long. But I never felt any regret when they ended. I mean, I was sad with some not so much, because some ended when I realized, oh, well, it had been over at some point already. And I was never the one who finished the relationship. Two relationships of mine ended with my partners dying, and that was harsh. And I cried and I suffered a long time about this, but I've no nostalgia. When one of the longest relationship was 5 years, I had two relationships of 5 years. One, he just said, "Oh, it's finished. I'm finishing it." I didn't cry. I know we had lived apart. I had loved him much, and a part of my heart I still do, but I felt the time was just past. Many of my friends told me, "Why did you not talk to him, hold him?" I mean, I knew him that he would not make any decision easy. He was shy of change, just unlike myself, who is I'm one of the most curious person that I personally know. Sorry if I say it like that. I'm eager to see change, to see the horizon. I'm a little bit like this Captain Kirk figure, like, bring me that horizon, the farthest horizon, the greatest adventure, the highest goal, the farthest star. The greatest challenge is just good enough for me. That's how I live. That's how I feel. Oh, I'm a futurist. You know, that this Marvel character Iron Man, Tony Stark. I'm not an inventor or so, but I'm a futurist just like him. No, it's not that I want to tear down cathedrals and old towns and all the stuff. There is certainly stuff that is architecturally worthy to preserve. But the lifestyle, not know. I mean, I know about how people lived. Like if we see films or series, I'm a great fan of Sherlock Holmes. So, and he lives in the Victorian age, 1880 to 1900. That's where most cases are, Britain. And of course, he lives well, and mostly is with high society or middle class. But the reality is that sanitary and the quality of that of I don't know 80-90% of the people in that time was abysmal. People died in their 30s from it is the silent P in English that bugs me so. Pneumonia, pneumonia, you know, when sort of cold, an extreme cold, and just died from it because you lived in a wet, cold room. That was how life was. It wasn't different in Germany. I once read an article how people lived in the Kaiserreich, under the Wilhelm II. You see all those glorious streets and roads from how glorious was Berlin in 1910. When you see films from that time, or movies, or real films from that, and it looks so glorious, and people, the glorious all day. Yes, it was for 10%. The rest lived in they had apartments with no sunlight, with everything was damp, wet, cold, stinking. They had to work 12 hours under unbelievable circumstances. There was nothing glorious, nothing even remotely nostalgic about that time. I know too much about history as a historian. Even when you were rich, let's imagine you were rich, or let's say middle class. A person like Sherlock Holmes, he's middle class, he's not rich. He lives in an apartment with Dr. Watson. So, modestly well, they're warm, they're not freezing, there's not wet and damp. And still, imagine he has problems with his teeth, dentistry. No, you don't have to go that far back. Just imagine you have a problem with your teeth and it's 1985 again. I don't want to be there. I'm glad that we have dentistry from 2025. And the reality is, many times throughout my entire life, sometimes there were these moments of a pause. And I looked around just at Berlin, at life as it is. Cars driving in streets, houses as housing is today, shops, everything that is normal life in our world, in the Western world, in the so-called civilized modern Western world. That just to get to some to take a more known type of places. And I had this overwhelming feeling not this thought, but like I came from a planet who was 10,000 years ahead, and somehow I was thrown back. I'm stranded on this forsaken planet, which is 5,000 years technologically behind to what I'm used. Like I know a young man who is in his early 20s, and he needs 2 or 3 times a week dialysis for his, you know what it is. I don't know the name of the organ which doesn't function. The kidney, I think it's a kidney in English. And there is this moment in one of the Star Trek, I think Star Trek 4, where Dr. McCoy sees what dialysis, that's medieval, and he gives the woman a pill. And a few scenes later, you see many doctors around her, and she's quite happy. There was a guy who gave me pills, and new kidneys grew. New kidneys grew, a miracle, and they don't understand. You know, that's a horizon where, in my mind, I live. Now you can say you are crazy. That's because I have no nostalgia. because I know restaurants in the past were dirty, they were unhygienic. Yes, and in the present they can be too. That's because we're falling back. I have known, and these people say, "Oh, we need." For instance, I tell you something very shocking. If I could, I would replace all work with robots and AI. I know many of you will hate me for saying that, but I think human beings are made for greater things than menial jobs. That doesn't mean that people shouldn't do something. They should be active. But sorting papers from left to right, or if it's your thing, you should be free to do this. But it should not be a requirement for you to survive and to live well. I have this static utopia in my mind where people don't have to work. We have endless, limitless energy and replicators who create everything, and people just work for their self-improvement of their character, of their skills. That is what I think human soul's dignity is supposed to be. Not forced to live in small, wet, damp apartments, having 8, 9, 10 hours slaving away in some office or in some whatever it is. But to grow, to really grow. So going back to it, especially in Thai boys' loves series, not so much in Korean or Japanese. It seems something very typical to Thailand, this nostalgia to rural places. And they often have this, we go to villages and there is the village chief and there come the evil guys come from the big cities. I mean, it must reflect some reality of Thailand, probably. I don't know Thailand that well. And there is this stigma of the evil cities and the scenic rural life. You know, it's from Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the noble wild man. This is what he invented, like the noble savage. That was his term. I'm sorry if it's politically not correct. It's his term, the noble savage. It's like we in Germany there is a strong tradition of westerns, like Karl May. You can look him up. Karl May, not to misplace with Karl Marx. Karl May, and he wrote many novels about a white man and a Native American, so-called Indian, working together. And the Native Americans in those stories are always the nobles, the better people than the modern white Westerners, who are always sort of evil, degenerate, nasty people. Like modernism is the evil thing. And this simple life in a tent, in a hut, that is the good life. And I don't feel that. I cannot. I know too much as a historian how the reality of that was. Maybe some people lived like that. You can choose. And maybe some people are happy with that. But the reality is, I know since the creation of the first cities, Ur, in Sumer, among the Sumerians, later Babylonians, people always were attracted by cities, by bringing life forward, by inventing new things, by making life easier, safer, healthier, to have more time. This is the natural instinct of all humans. So when I'm watching now this guy in Moonlight Chicken episode 3 finished this, it just, I don't understand the owner of that restaurant, the main character. I don't understand him. It's dirty work, it's strenuous work. Yes, you have all those nice people, yeah, but nobody robs you of the opportunity to know nice people, you know. It's this, we've always done it. It's like this fourth generation restaurant or fourth generation, or my father ran it and my great grandfather built it and I have to continue it. and we have to make the recipe exactly like it was 4 generations ago. And God forbids there is any. I imagine the sanitarian situation in reality in such places is, I'm sorry to say, probably not that it would be advisable to go there. It's in fiction, it's so. It's just a feeling, a thought I had, and I wanted to share with you. There is no greater thought. I mean, there are tons of greater thoughts in my mind. It's why I have it's like I feel like an alien on a strange planet, like all my life, because of this nostalgia thing. Like this, oh, let's make it like it always has been done. And I think, no, why? I have so many. I'm a tech guy, so you know. I have so many fantasies about things that we could do instead, and we don't. I have no regrets about the past in my life. I did things wrong. I did things, bad choices and shitty outcomes. Sorry. But they taught me something and I moved on. I let it go. Or I took it as a lesson. It's not that I'm marching over the past like, oh, let's tear it all down. But there is change. Like if you are into the Taoism or Taoism, there is always change. Nothing stays as it is. I mean, that doesn't mean that all change is good. There is enough reason to be skeptical. I understand that. Many things changing today are for the worse, so I'm not change for the sake of change. But this like, oh, we've always done this rusty, wet, damp place, and you cling to it, and I think, so, why? Be creative. And there is like force. One of his first roles, or he's really stealing the scene everywhere he is. His force is just the born actor, just as a side note. And he has it. He has my sympathies. He's pondering there and thinking, I don't know what I want to do in the future, but I don't want this planned out straight line like a railroad where I'm bound to one destiny and forever run it. That is where my heart lies, where I think this is the type of person I can understand, and not his uncle say, oh, we've always had this restaurant, and there is, I don't know the name of the character that Force plays, like, I don't know, maybe he will change and see it, oh, I see it, uncle, and knowing how these Thai BLs be, there will be the beautiful restaurant, all will be safe, and I will be happy with their backwards life, I'm sorry to say it that way. I know it's probably like it is. Because that's how all these Thai with rural settings are. That it's a beautiful rural life that wins over the evil progress of modern evil technologists and evil city people. But I don't feel that. I feel this. Grab me that horizon. Live to see the next 10,000 years, just to see how it gets, where it gets. Let's try the most impossible, the most outrageous thing. Never put me in front of this red button which says don't push, because I will push it just to see what happens. Over and out.